Welcome back to the REDX channel. We lately have gotten a lot of questions about how to use the Vortex system and just questions about how our system works. And so I brought Jeremy on from our customer support team to answer some of those really common questions. So we're just going to be talking about those. And if you have any other questions, drop them in the comments and we can easily do video number 2 on this. So yeah, let's get into it. The first question that we get quite often is, can I change my phone number on the dialer?
Yes, you can. The easiest way that you can change your number on the dialer is if you go to your dial settings here, go to the Numbers tab. You have an option next to the number that you've claimed to remove number.
Okay.
One thing I will like to mention about that is that it does last for the rest of the bill cycle, so it's not an immediate change. But if you were to click that, remove the number there, and then wait until the end of your bill cycle, you'd then be able to claim a new number. However, what I would caution against is doing that frequently or even at all. What we would really like to see you do is actually protect that number with our smart number service. This smart number service allows you to get the spam protected and monitored, allows you to see whether or not there are any active spam flags on it. And it's a little bit more efficient than, seeing whether or not you have it coming up as spam and then changing it. We can immediately remediate it and get it fixed for you without you having to do any other work outside of claiming the number. And you can see within the Trust Hub here under spam protection that this number here that I have spam red protected is a healthy number. Through all the major phone providers and all the major carriers, we have these check marks here telling me that there are no active spam flags on the number, which is a lot more effective and efficient at making sure you're not being marked as spam for your call sessions.
That's really cool. I didn't even know that the smart number was a thing. So that's awesome. Tell me a little bit more how the the smart number works. Like, how does it detect if it's spam? Like, what does it do?
So we have a dedicated team that constantly monitors it. Essentially, you submit some registration information, usually your name, whatever you want to show as the caller ID, the business, the call purpose, all of that information gets sent over to the major phone providers.
Okay.
That information is then used to verify that the number is being called from a legitimate caller and not like a spam caller through, AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon, all three of these major phone providers that basically control the phone network in the country. And then we have a team that is constantly monitoring for those flags. If that team notices that a flag is being put on the number, we immediately get in contact with whichever phone provider put the flag on it and say, hey, look, this is not actually a spam caller. Can we get that removed? The nice thing about that is that if the phone carrier comes back to us and says, hey, sorry, we can't, we will provide you a number free of charge. We'd switch that number out for you if we can't get it removed. So instead of you having to go in and remove it yourself, that is something that we take care of. You're able to then go and claim a new one altogether.
That's sweet. It almost seems like a no-brainer to me of like, why would a real estate agent want to figure all of that out on your own and be like guessing if it's spam or not? So that is so cool. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it is only $10 a month, so it's really just a steal.
Shut up. That's so cheap. Okay, cool. Love this. I love that we're talking about this. I think it's going to be super helpful for everyone that's listening. Cool. Okay, so the next question that we have is, how do I filter my prospects by city, by date expired, or by a specific number of beds or baths?
Yeah, so we actually have a pretty in-depth filter system that you can access by clicking this filters button here. I would caution against going really in depth, because really what you're doing essentially is reducing the amount of calls that you're making and the amount of connections that you can make. If you're being ultra specific, you're going to miss out on a deal. Maybe it's 5 miles outside of your preferred radius, but that 5 miles, is that really worth, that 20 grand, 30 grand in commission that you'd be making if you converted that? However, like I said, we do have a really robust filter system. You can go through specific prospect types. You can go through, the days that it were added, the days that it listed expired. You can do some crazy or some fun things with listing. If it's absentee owner, you can go price, days on market, property, you can beds and baths, square footage. So there's really just a lot of options for you to be able to filter by. You can go property type, geographic, all of that. Just be aware that the more you filter down, the less connections that you're going to make and the less conversions that you're going to have. Gotcha. So I really think it's the time spent in, ultra specifying the filters that you want is better time spent calling these leads that might just be a little bit out of what you're comfortable with.
Absolutely. I love that. It's a great reminder that relationships is just the most important part of real estate. Right. And you don't want to be preventing yourself from creating those relationships and possibly having that random conversation that leads you to this $1 million home that's going to help you get a big commission check. I love that.
Yeah.
So pretty much you can just, if I understand this right, you can just click the check mark. You include like, okay, I want a minimum of, I don't know. Yeah. 1998. Yeah. Cool. Or like you can do, I want a minimum of 3 bedrooms or minimum of 4 bedrooms. Got it. That's awesome.
And then you just
click the check mark.
Click. You have 2 options here. You can, if you want this to be a specific filter that you go back and reference multiple times, save as will allow you to save it as a new filter.
Okay.
So like if we wanted to go houses in 1980 and then hit save, it'll save it as a new filter and then hit apply.
Okay.
You can also select an existing filter that you have, hit edit, make any changes. So maybe I want this to include my GeoLeads and hit save changes.
Okay.
And if you don't want to save anything that you're doing and you just want to apply it, you can just hit apply and it'll just apply any active filter settings that you have.
Okay, sweet. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The next question that we would get is, how can I find the leads I've already called?
Great question. So there's a couple of different ways. The one that I recommend, if you're looking for like a specific lead or a specific call session, is the dialer will keep track of the last 10 sessions that you've called. And it'll put them into its own folder. So under call sessions here, under my folders, you have, date and time. Going back, you can see I go back as far as, April 3rd, 2024. And then if you click into these folders, you can see that the leads that you've called, or at least loaded in, are in this folder. It's a little bit difficult when you've loaded a fair amount of leads into it. That's when you would go and use their search function. So say we had a list of 500 here, but you have the number of someone you'd like to call back. You put in the number here of, 801 999 9999, and then it would hit enter and it would pull up that specific prospect.
Gotcha.
You can also use our filter system. One of the great things about it is you can, under this prospect progress, you can filter it so that you can load in progress leads. These are usually leads that will, let me actually get out of this filter here. So if we go to expireds, in progress, and hit apply, you can see that this lead is an in-progress lead that I've called. Usually, if you have our dialer, one of the great perks of that is that it'll automatically keep track of this for you. So you won't have to keep track of it manually updating in progress. If you load it into the dialer and you've called it, it'll automatically be put as an in-progress lead. So it's a really good perk of that.
So if you just call someone and they don't pick up the phone, it's going to automatically go to in progress. The dialer automatically does that.
Right.
If you talk to them, so I know another question that we have is, how do I find a lead I've spoken to before and now want to follow up with? So like, is there another status that's not in progress that it marks it as, or like, how do you find that one? Like, what's the next status step, I should say?
Yeah, for sure. So when it comes to that, that's a little bit more hands-on. You'll have to do it yourself. There's a couple of more options here. You can see we've got contacted, callback, and appointment sets. Say you contacted them, but you didn't set up a callback, but you want to contact them again.
Okay.
You have an option in the filter settings to show you under the prospect progress. I can say I just want to see the ones that I've contacted right there. And this is really helpful because we do, recommend contacting these leads multiple times, at least 3 times, different times of the day, just to try to see if you haven't gotten in touch with them, you can get in touch, see if you can get in touch with them that way. Or if you have gotten in touch with them, maybe it's a little bit of better time for you to talk to them and you can get a little bit more in depth on, maybe why did their home expire? Why are they selling it for sale by owner? So many different options that you can actually have a better conversation now because it's a better time to talk to them with. So it's a really good, helpful way to do that. And then if, say, you've set the callback, there's 2 really good tools for keeping track of callback leads that you have callback with. We have a built-in callback reminder that will go through to your email.
Okay.
If you set this up, you can put the name, you can choose the time, you can choose the number, and you can put any notes there. So like maybe it's this number here, and I want to be reminded, 20 minutes before I've set the callback at 3 p.m. or 3 p.m. on the 31st of August. I hit apply. That's going to send me an email reminder 20 minutes before that time to just remind me that I've got that. You can then also see back here in the list view any callbacks that you've set and the time and the date and the name all of that there. You can click on the address and it'll pull up the property. The other option you can do, if you go to this add hot leads, this will automatically add it to its own folder.
Okay.
And this is another, useful technique that I've seen people use is if they've set up callback and they're not using this tool, they can use the list view to look at the hot leads here.
Okay.
And you can see any hot leads that you've put into this folder. So if you've contacted them and you put them into the hot leads, you can use the hot leads to then, if you have a bunch of leads in here, search for the name, search for the number.
Gotcha. So it could be like, okay, you call through a list of, 100 people and you talk to a few people and you're like, man, I really want to make sure I stay in contact with them. I really think that I could help them sell their home. Like you can add them to the hot leads folder and that could be like, oh, I'm going to go in every day and that's the first place I start.
Right.
Or maybe they start with the new expireds for the day, but then when you're done, you go to your hot leads and you
exactly
focus on building those relationships.
Yep, just calling them multiple times. Just try to build that relationship up as best you can.
I love that. That's great. Thank you. The other question that I have is how can I only call new leads? So how do you set up a filter to only call those new leads?
Yeah, so it's very similar to what we were doing before. Under the prospect progress, if you click new here, as long as you haven't manually adjusted it or you haven't, actually called the lead in with the dialer, you can hit apply and it'll automatically show you any new leads. So if I go to my expireds here and I go back to my filters and then I go to prospect progress and hit new, it'll only show me leads that I've never, loaded into the dialer or manually switched or called or anything like that. So it's a good way to do it. You can then obviously filter this down further if you're looking for specific areas. But again, that gets back to the point where if you're spending too much time filtering, you're going to lose out on valuable time making connections and relationships.
Right. We don't want to avoid doing work by not calling people.
Right. Exactly.
I love that. Okay. The next question that I have is, how should I get started? Where is the best place to go to understand the system?
Great question. One of the things that I absolutely love that we have is our REDX University. It's a really great tool for anybody coming back to the system or new to the system or anything like that. And it's accessed by clicking this little graduation cap up by your name. So if you click this here, it'll open up a new tab. And you can see we've got so much content here for you. We've got over at least 100 hours of content just in learning, and it's not just, how do I use the system, but it's also telling you, it's giving you tips on how to prospect with the system. It's giving you tips on how to set time management and habits and things like that so that you're prepared to come in and prospect. We've got courses for every single lead type and service that we offer on all of our lead types, the dialer, ad builder, all of the stuff, and it's free. With the REDX account, you have access to this for free, and it's as simple as clicking that graduation cap, finding the course that you want to start, and off you go. And it's hundreds and hundreds of hours of content for free on learning the system for you.
Very cool. That's awesome. So everyone that has REDX should be using REDX University, is what you're saying.
100%. There's nothing like. I don't see a reason why you wouldn't. It's such a great tool, and it helps elevate your usage of the system, and in extension, your prospecting and your turnover just by so much because of the tools and the tips and the skills that it teaches you.
Very cool. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for showing that to me. Okay, the next question that we just have a couple more, is when do new leads upload in my Vortex?
Yeah. So new leads will come in on a daily basis. Usually it's about 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time every morning.
Okay.
Adjust that for time zones. But every morning around 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, we get a new batch of leads for your expireds if you've got an automatic imports. And then when it comes to the other lead types, so the for sale by owners, for rent by owners, and foreclosures, those will still come in as long as we've gotten new leads to show you. So like if there hasn't been a FSBO in a couple of days, it usually means that we weren't able to find one, but it doesn't mean that your feed is interrupted. It just means that, we just haven't found any FSBOs in the last couple of days. And it's, the same with for rent by owners and foreclosures.
Okay.
The only thing that's a little different with that is the GeoLeads. The GeoLeads isn't an automatic feed. Those are leads that you'll have to go in and pull yourself using our GeoLeads tool. You come in, you type in an address. So if I type in, any address here.
123 Main Street.
Right, 123, or here I'm pulling an actual address. 615 North 1150 East Lehigh. It'll pull up an address here.
Okay.
And then you could see there's a whole host of information here that you can see. You can filter by ownership time. You can change that to the nearest 1,250 properties if you're ambitious. You can see turnover rate. So in the last 12 months, 6% of the homes in there moved new hands.
Okay.
You can, see if you've pulled any of these leads before down here. There's just so much information here for you to sort of, mold how you're pulling these leads. But these are all manual pulls. And then once you're ready, you'd hit the create leads button and then off you'd go. You're ready to go.
Awesome. So probably what I would recommend is like the best use to GeoLeads is you just listed a home in a neighborhood and you want to call everyone around it and say, hey, we just listed this home. Do you know anyone in the neighborhood that wants to move to this area or whatever?
Right, exactly.
And then you can pull all of those people around that one address, and that makes it so easy to just dial them up. I love that.
Yeah, dial them. You could do mailing campaigns.
Yes.
If you've got the Plus products, you can do email campaigns with the emails that we provide. So, there's a lot of options, but it's very helpful for that sort of idea.
Multiple touches that we need now to reach the eyes. And awesome. That's so cool. Okay, last question is how do I add or remove services to my account?
Yeah, so in order to add or remove a service, you do have to get in contact with our customer success team. And you can either do that through the chat system or, getting in contact with us on the phones. But we'd be able to add or remove any services. If you're looking at adding a service, one thing that I cannot recommend enough is actually our bundle product. It's a really great deal. It's honestly a steal in my opinion. We're offering all 5 of our lead types at that premium plus data plan. So that's including the email addresses, an extra layer of data filtering, market and data insights about the homeowner and financial insights and property data, and just so much more data that comes as additional data for those properties. So all 5 of the lead types there, along with we're offering our dialer. You're getting just $100 value right there in our dialer, along with Ad Builder, which is great for social media marketing and prospecting, and the smart number, which we talked about earlier, which is, that
all of it included.
All of it included. Usually this runs at least almost $1,000 to add all of that. I think it's like $700, $800, and we're offering it for $400 a month. So it's like a 60-70% discount off of the a la carte price.
Okay.
So that's, if you're looking at adding services, that is 100% one that I will always recommend to anybody looking at adding new services. But any changes like that, just get in contact with us. We'll be able to help you out.
That's great. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for jumping on with me today. Like I said, I know we get a lot of these questions, and I just appreciate your time. So thank you.
Yeah, of course.